Thank you for watching and listening. So, when I was 17 or 18, while we were still living at Block 748, uh, my father left the house. But not because, not on a good term, of course. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of, we were against him, we were fighting with him, and we thought badly of him. Prior to that, he was isolated, he would cook and then we'll eat alone in his room, and then we barely talk. We will look at him hatefully, things like that. So that same thing was done to me. So it's a pattern. It's a pattern with the narcissist, because the stepmother is a narcissist, right? So they turn everybody against you. And now the family members turn against me because this is what they do. They isolate each and every one of them. They pretend to be nice to you just to get you to turn against another person. This is a standard narcissist playbook, narcissist tactic, I can say. So I remember there one time the police called because my brother became very aggressive towards my father, and that was after my stepmother said something and then looked at him. So apparently she had performed some rituals and read some mantras to make the people that she target be violent, aggressive, and will do things on her behalf. So you will listen and do whatever she tells you. So that's the reason why I come to think of it. She's horrible. She make a mess. She does things, and we constantly have to apologize. And the people who came to confront us, large majority of them will not lash out at her. They will lash out at us. They will look at her and then look away and then just start scolding us. So we always bear the brunt for all her actions. And then come to think of it, it's because she had done some rituals so that people fear her and obey her, things like that. And some of those people who came to confront us were also part of the cult. So it was just a ruse to harass us, to cause us a lot of stress, to make us further isolate ourselves because we're like, oh, people are so bad. This race is so bad to us, or that community is not nice to us, and things like that. So we have less trust with people. Therefore, much more easier to keep us isolated. So after all that, my father just left, and at that point we were still on the stepmother's side, right? Because we thought she was our biological mother, right? Mother can do no wrong. And we always encourage her to get the divorce. Since you don't like him, you talk badly about him, you claim he's a horrible man, that he put us into a lot of financial strain and things like that, then divorce. Why do you want to hold on to him? And then one day she came back home, and then she sat at the sofa and said, aku tak nak jadi janda, aku tak nak jadi janda. So basically, I don't want to be a widow, I don't want to be a widow. But the thing is, you don't want to be a widow, but then you claim your husband abused you, your husband is irresponsible, your husband is such a bad man, you hated him. I mean, she came to me when I was 15 or 16, started talking about my father's penis and how she's unsatisfied and things like that. So if you don't like the man so much, why do you still want to be married with him if you claim he's such a bad person and you have the option to divorce? So as it turned out, she doesn't want to be known as a janda because in the Malay community, a divorced woman uh, not don't really get a good reputation because men think that they are desperate, and some women think that the women want to steal, the widows want to steal people's husband and things like that. It's a lot of stereotypical toxic gender role thing going on. So after a long time, she decided to get a divorce, and but my father didn't turn up. So I was wondering what's wrong with this guy. Both parents are so irresponsible, so immature. Then as it turned out, now recently, within maybe last year or so, I found out from the medium, the psychic medium, the reason why my father didn't want to divorce her, was scared to divorce her, was because he knew that she would do a ritual that will give him cancer, because she has been doing that to people who did her wrong, or she think did bad things to her, and she would just do rituals on them, and it's a very dark demonic rituals, and he was afraid to get cancer. He was fearful of her and the cult, and he couldn't find help. In hindsight, he should have just brought myself and my brother and left the house and moved back with the paternal side. But his decision, he didn't think that far for some reason. So that only continued our suffering. So anyway, the divorce proceeding for I remember I accompanied the stepmother to the court, and they needed male witnesses. I know it's some religious rules and whatnot. And my father didn't turn up, and then I remember they were saying, okay, if he doesn't want to turn up, they need to put an advertisement in the newspaper, things like that. So this stepmother, she's very cunning, very manipulative. So she managed to play the victimized woman, victimized housewife, cut to a T. So everybody was supporting her, everybody was defending her. And as it turned out, now that I found out a lot of things, that she was the third party. She was the one who did rituals on my father's uh, first wife, causing her to get sick and pass away, in order to slot herself into his life. So not all women are innocent, not all men are innocent. Be very discerning and trust your intuition a lot, because people, evil people, low vibrational people like the stepmother, is willing to do anything and everything to break apart your happiness. Because I was told by the medium that she was jealous, which is true. She's always jealous when she see a happy couple. She will say nasty things, and when she see a Malay celebrity, right, she will say mean things. Well, for example, there was like one singer in Malaysia, and she had miscarriage. Back then, I was still in primary school, right? And then the stepmother would say, "Oh, like, who asked her to wear such tight clothing? No wonder she had a miscarriage." She said things like that, very mean and very jealous, and she just cannot see people have anything in her, because we were fooled by the culture of respecting your parents, respecting the elders. Mothers can do no wrong. You go to any culture in the world, people will be like blindly aggressive, blindly defensive of mothers, regardless. You find all kinds of excuses to defend a mother. So a narcissistic woman, they really get away with a lot, especially if they have the title of a mother, because people will go to great length to twist and turn to blame it on the children, to blame it on everyone else but that toxic mother. So we were raised to think that she can do no wrong, it's always our fault and we have to obey and things like that. So every time we try to tell other people, every single response was, that's your mother, that's rude, you're gonna go to hell, you cannot disrespect your mother, that's your mother. At the end of the day, it's so painful to give birth. You get all this similar type of response by people. Initially I thought only the Malays are like that. So, and then when I started talking to people of other races, they also have the same mindset. So as it turned out, the traditional and conservative mindset type of people, the type who will, you know gaslight you, not gaslight, I would say, because they themselves have been programmed that way. So they don't want to believe that a mother can do any wrong. So we were left to deal with most of it, and eventually we just kept quiet, and that's what caused unnecessary elongated years of suffering. So my father never contacted us, never talked to us anymore, and I also was like very angry towards him, very hateful towards him, and I thought he was useless. He caused us a lot of financial stress and things like that. And but I only found out that the reason for selling the house was because the stepmother didn't want us to have stability, because she worried having stability can help you succeed, because there's less stress, you can focus on your studies, you can focus on your work. And so that's the reason why she caused a lot of fights and dramas and instigate and provoke and harass and to cause people to make decisions out of the stress, out of the severe stress, to sabotage their own reputation. Come to think of it, a lot of things were done under deep stress and after her harassment. So no contact with the stepsisters. I have three older stepsisters. We only had contact with them up to maybe primary two. So at that point, we mostly have a connection with the stepmother's family members, but always the same few, because the same few are those who are part of the cult, the same few siblings who are part of the cult. Occasionally, we visit the paternal side when we were very, very young, but even then, we were not really welcome for some reason, except for the stepsisters. The stepsisters, from what I recall, they were quite nice, quite passive. So when we was still living at block 437, when I was still in lower primary school, one night they just ran away. If I remember, some of them ran away in their school uniform. And I realize now why, because the home was so bad, because apparently we were blinded by her bullying, her abuse, her harassment towards the girls. I only remember seeing my father quarreling with the stepmother. Then as it turned out, the stepmother had assaulted one of the sisters. So her pattern is simple. She will harass, bully, abuse, harass, bully, and abuse, harass, bully, and abuse. That's the standard pattern. And she will only do it to you. This is type of the narcissistic type. They be nice to everyone. They play the victim to others, and they will only target you. So then when you react out of the stress, people will think you're the toxic one, you're the problematic one. But the one that was instigating, the one that was gaslighting, the covert ones, was her all along. People like her, because I met colleagues who are like that. They pretend to be nice, speak to you in a nicely manner, but the whole time they were the one who are instigating and setting people up. So that's what she did. So I remember the three stepsisters, they ran away, and moved back with the paternal side of the family, and that was the last time I ever saw or heard of them. But my father chose to stay. So when I kept asking the middle, why did he not leave her? Why didn't he divorce her? Why didn't he do something, to help us? Then the answer was because he was fearful. Because he was fearful, and at the same time, he was being poisoned. Hence, the reason why he was exhausted, and he was going through financial strain because of when you're too exhausted to work. How are you supposed to work? And on top of that, the cult members were some of his friends. So that's how they isolate you. Initially, let's say you just need to let one cult member in. That's it. Just one low vibrational person can make and break your life. So for mine was that polytechnic classmate. Okay, the Indonesian guy. So he was the one who totally broke my entire family because of the other rituals that he helped the stepmother with. So you just need one person. So one cult members that you don't know. You think they are friends, you think they are your colleagues, you think they're just normal people, but they're part of the cult, and they have been sent. They message one another, they contact one another, they communicate with one another, letting them know where your locations are, where you work at, or where you hang out, what your schedule is like. So they know everything, because they were your friends. So they know a lot of your information, and they pass it along to one another. And then after some time, these so-called friends, they will not help you out. They will disappear, because that's their goal. Their goal is to isolate you from any genuine people out there. So when it comes to cutting you off, you be genuinely alone. They will find a way to mentally abuse, emotionally abuse you, turn your family member against you, turn your genuine people against you, turn your genuine friends against you, so that they can isolate you after some time, and then we just up and leave, and then you be alone, because that's their whole point. They don't want you to get help, they don't want you to speak up. It's like they're trying to erase you from the society. So should anything happen to you, no one will check up on you, no one will know, because nobody know you're being abused, nobody know you're being harassed, nobody know you're being targeted, nobody knows. So should you pass away, it'd be like, oh yeah, nobody knows, or they will find out after many years, or oh, I just things like that. So this is the same pattern that goes on and on for every single person that have been targeted and unfortunately passed away, or still being targeted now, and still beginning at the middle stage or the beginning stages. This is how it works. They always try to break up your family first, the family unit. to isolate you. That's the reason why some, this, even let's even take the cultness out of it. Just normal narcissistic person. This is what they do. They turn people against one another to a point that you have like zero emotion. You don't want to deal with them, and you just stay away. That's the point. That's their goal. They want to isolate. So no connection, no contact with the father, my father, as well as the paternal side. So the last time I saw my father, maybe about 17 or 18 years old, sometime in our mid 20s, what happened was the light bulb, started turning off and on, because back in my 20s, we already moved to the rental flat. Then, and the reason why we moved to the rental flat, because the stepmother decided to sell the house at block 748, and she claimed it's because we were poor, we didn't have money. Well, come to find out, she did that because she didn't want us to have stability, because she knew if we don't have a roof over our head, a stable roof over our head, we won't focus on our studies. So none of the siblings is successful or have studied very well, because we were all under deep stress. She would do all kinds of things to stop you from studying, because when I was younger, she repeatedly tell me I'm stupid, bodoh sombong. Bodoh sombong means stupid and arrogant. You're stupid and arrogant. You're stupid and arrogant. You're stupid and arrogant. And because she wanted me to drop out of school, to a point where she refused to pay the school fees, and then she would say, "Up to you. You're going to try to get financial assistance. I don't want you to study. You better drop out and give me money." Things like that. So this is what she is like. So the she sold the house at block 748 under the pretense of, oh, because we don't have money, we can't pay the house and things like that. And then the before we get the rental flat, because it's so hard to get houses in Singapore, very very hard to get houses in Singapore. Before we get the rental flat, we live for a short term elsewhere. Like the family members have to separate themselves and live with the uncle and aunties, and some have to rent and things like that. That was all part of her plan. She wanted this, you know. Let me digress a little bit. For the longest time, she always, ever since I was in primary school, she will threaten to be a, aku kutip sampah, lepas tu aku cakap, kasih muka kau malu, I'm gonna pick up rubbish like the old men and the old women, and I'm gonna embarrass you. And then orang akan tengok, anak kau tak guna, anak kau dahaka, anak kau jahat, kesian buat mak dera mak dia macam gitu. So your children are unfilial, your children are bad, you're abusing your mother, you don't take care of your mother, things like that. So from young, we were programmed to be to have a lot of all kinds of fear. And then she has this thing where she's obsessed with living in rental flats, obsessed with living in L room. Aku nak tinggal rumah L, aku nak tinggal rumah orang, biar orang kesiankan aku, biar orang kesiankan aku. Basically, I want to live in the L room flat, which is just a studio apartment, usually meant for low income or elderlies. Then her reasoning was so that people pity her, so she gets sympathy. So she's so starving and desperate for attention. So desperate for attention. And then I tell her, why would you do that? We have more than 2-3 person in the household, 3 or 4 person. Why would you want to move everybody in a small house when you can you just stop selling the house? Aku ni suka lah. Biar aku tinggal lah. Aku suka lah. Biar orang kesiankan aku. Biar orang tengok anak aku jahat, anak aku jahat. So it's my choice. I want to do what I want, so that people will pity me, and people will see that my children are evil and nasty. So she had planned this for many years. I tell you this. They always tell you what they want to do, to manifest it, to get you to manifest it. So we were fearful, we're going to lose the house. What if we have to live in the rental flat? Things like that. And then after that, she went further, when we eventually had to finally get a rental flat. Because in Singapore, I tell you, I don't know what's wrong with the government in the way they deal with the housing. You cannot qualify for a rental flat unless your salary is below 1,005 or something like that. So that's why she kept bullying and harassing me, and on top of that, doing all kinds of rituals, so that it's harder for me to get a job, so that I can we can meet that low income, low salary, in order to stay in that rental flat. Even at that rental flat, she would throw a lot of tantrum. She didn't want to pay. I was like, since you're the one who decided to make us suffer with having housing issue, Why don't you pay the rent then? Since she seemed to always have money. Where did she get money from when she barely work part time? She barely work, and when she work, she only work part time, and then things like that. So come to find out, the reason why she kept bullying me and turning my brother against me and things like that was because I got scolded for quitting a job that only pays me 1,000 and I only bring back 800 because after the CPF deduction, right? So they both kept bullying, and my brother and my mother kept harassing and bullying me because I applied for a job that paid more. And the reason for that is she didn't want me to be successful. She didn't want me to have money to pursue my education, and she didn't want me to have any. She wants me to be in a state of lack, and at the same time, so that we can qualify for the house. So you see the level of manipulation and all that. So we were genuinely struggling and things like that. And on top of that, of course, she was poisoning me the whole time. That's why I was so sick. I was so exhausted that I could only get up very late in the afternoon, and no choice because of the exhaustion. I had to only work in the afternoon. I had to find job sets and mostly in the afternoon shift. So it was all part of the plan, all of it part of the plan. So while we were living at that rental flat, she also kept talking about, kawan aku tinggal kat East Coast, tinggal rumah tent, aku nak tinggal kat East Coast jadi orang kesiankan aku nak tidur kat, aku nak tidur kat dalam tent gitu. So you see, she purposely did all that because she wanted us to be homeless. So the difference is not that it's not that we were struggling, is that she intentionally caused us to struggle because she knew that if we do not have a stable roof over our head, we be so fearful, we can't study, it's hard for us to maintain a job from all the stress and things like that. She wanted us to be homeless because her goal, she already specified, she wanted us to live in the tent at East Coast. Macam kawan aku tinggal dekat tent dekat East Coast, biar orang kesiankan orang, biar kesiankan aku. She want people to pity her, people to sympathize with her, things like that. Okay. So even, when you live in rental flat, you have to renew every year or every 2 years. So we were always in a constant state of like anxiety because she refused to sign. She refused to sign. She will because you need it cannot be one person. It has to be at least 2 or 3 person in the family. The name has to be there, but she refused to sign. She will wait until the very last minute, and then you be like begging her, please, please, if not, we'll lose the house. We'll lose the house. Where we're supposed to live? Where we're supposed to live? Because her siblings are not helpful. But the cousins that we had were all pure evil in their own ways. So that, come to think of it, was her point. She wanted us to be homeless. She wanted us to be homeless, to be sad and depressed, and ultimately underlive ourselves. Because this is what the cult member do, because that's what her goal is. Then funny, you claim you don't have money to pay for the house, you don't have money this, money for that, but you have money to go for holidays, you have money, ikut mak pergi, mak bayar, kita pergi travel, kita pergi begini, pergi situ. That's like, you say you're poor, where do you get the money to travel? Even if it's to Batam, to Malaysia, where do you get money to travel then, if you claim you don't have money to pay for the house? So it was all a lie. It was all a setup. So in order for that to occur, they need to bully and abuse and sabotage and to keep you in the state of lack and exhaustion, and that way you won't succeed. So that was her plan. So what I was going through, and I'm still going through now, was what my father went through. That's the reason why he lost his job, why he couldn't work, because she had been doing things to him for the longest time. So sometime in my mid-20s, the light bulb at the house that we live at, the rental flat we live at, kept turning off and on, and then it burst. And then you start hearing knocking, like desperate knocking in the house. That Toyogo plastic drawer. So it had that handle, right? So the handle will be flipping it by itself, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So come to find out, like, I managed to find a psychic, and I was told that was my father's spirit. So I was like, oh my god, apparently he had passed away, and then we got to know think that CPF for a while. They don't know who contacted us, and it was confirmed that he passed away. So the psychic told me that my mother to ask my mother to forgive him and let him go. So at first I thought she was resentful towards him for how he had treated us and what all the financial strain that he caused us. That's what I thought. So I went to her and plead with her, lepaskanlah dia lah, lepaskan dia lah. I'm very so exhausted already. Just forgive him and let him go, so that his spirit can move on and then you can move on, you know. And then she told me, alah, bapa kau roh dia datang duduk sebelah aku, apa ni, minta maaf, minta tolong lepaskan dia. She said that. She said, your father came to her, his spirit came to her, sat beside her, begged her to release him, begged her to let him go. I thought was like, then why don't you do that? Just let it go. He already passed away. What more do you want? We are the living one are still suffering. And then I thought to myself, this father, why is he living? In Malay, we say this. Hidup menyusahkan orang, mati pun menyusahkan orang. Like when you're alive, you're burden, you give people burden. When you're dead, you still give people more burden. So I thought it was like that. And as it turned out, now that we found out after all these years, that my father's spirit, came to the house because my stepmother had done a ritual on him. She was in the process of trapping his spirit. So when she said that he came to us for forgiveness and ask her to let him go, was because she trapped his soul and he was begging her to let him go. So you see sorry for that, how bloody hateful and evil this woman is, and how she managed to manipulate everybody to think that he was a bad person, how she destroyed so many people's life. Over what? Because she was jealous of him, that's all. Because of jealousy. For the funny thing is, I always thought it's like female and female being jealous to one another. That makes sense, right? They're jealous of the looks. But that between genders, they can also be jealous of one another. And the most recent medium told me that she was jealous of him. That's the reason why she targeted him. She didn't like that he was happily married. So I thought it was, at that point, I thought it was over and done with. Okay, the knocking stopped, man. The light bulb didn't burst anymore. The lights didn't turn off and on anymore. There wasn't any paranormal experiences related to that. So it stopped for a while. So as it turned out, my father was actually trying to ask me for help. But because my psychic ability wasn't as strong, because I myself had rituals done on me, been blinded, been blocked and all that, he was actually trying to ask me for help. Hence the reason why he tried to, the handle of that Toyogo drawer kept, just this one of it, the whole, it's like a four level drawer, right? Maybe the second one, just the second handle that kept going back and forth and making that knocking sound. He was trying to get my attention to ask me for help. So I thought reading some prayers would be, it's all over and done with since we already read prayers. So I thought it's all done, over and done with. So years later, after that incident, during my 20s, my second sister told me that she kept getting dreams of my father asking her for help. And then because we thought, because we were raised Muslim, right? We were taught that, she thought that, because he was a bad person, he did a lot of sins, so he's in hell, so he's like asking for prayers. And I thought, okay, then you just say some prayers. So she did some prayers for him. I did some prayers on my part, and I thought, okay, just try to find ways to help. So I did some meditation and whatnot. So that was over and done with. Because after that, nothing. My sister didn't get any dreams, and I thought it was done. I've already detached long time ago, because for me, it's like, it's just so irresponsible. Since you're gone means you're gone. I don't want to have any relationship or any connection with you because you caused me a lot of suffering through your decisions. So as it turned out, before they were trapped, before the souls are trapped, your soul after you die will go to people, your family members, your the people, the healers, or religious people, to ask for help. So the time when he the door handle kept knocking and kept moving by itself and kept knocking and knocking repeatedly, there's no wind, nothing, was because he was trying to ask for help. The reason was because that window period of time was the time where she's performing all the rituals to trap the soul. And once the ritual is successful, it be totally dead silence. Meaning nobody will know nobody will know that you're being trapped. Nobody know your soul has been trapped. It's just completely erased from existence. Now I realized why when we moved to Block 437, the first few, I don't recall that, after some time after we moved in, we start hearing the sound of a woman crying, right? Because that was the soul of her friend at Muslim Drive that she tried to trap. And at that point, we can still hear her. She can still try to ask for help. But because we were children and we were ignorant, we were not able to help. And after that, total silence. So that's the pattern. Do you see the pattern there? Abuse, arrest, set up. Abuse, arrest, set up, and then cause you financial issues, cause you to lose your job, and things like that. And then the other cult members will come in as friends, as colleagues. They continue to do that, cause you further stress. Some of them will commit suicide. The targets will commit suicide, eventually die from poisoning, and things like that. Very few die from stabbing. Okay, there are some stabbing cases that are related to the cult, by the way, because if they can't get rid of, they find a way to, if they can't get you to kill, they can't get you to die through the rituals, they will find a way to get you to unalive yourself. And if that doesn't work, they try the poisoning. If it doesn't work, stabbing. Okay, it's a setup. Okay, conveniently, you will be at a place where the stabbing occurs, and guess what, one of the friends that you have are actually part of the cult. Their job is to bring you to that location so that the other cult members can instigate a fight and can cause a lot of all kind of drama, and then a lot of tension. And the next thing you know, somebody got stabbed. And conveniently, the person who got stabbed is the targeted person by the cult, the person that the cult has targeted. It's the same pattern. It's the same pattern for every people who have been targeted, every person that has been targeted. Same pattern. And I just want to point out, every time I try to talk about the car, either I get my nose start itching or it starts raining heavily and things like that. Because they're trying to get me to stop talking about it. I know you guys have done so much. You have done it for many generations. Many people have passed away. Many families have been torn apart. What more do you want? You have all the money in the world. You have everything because you build your energy harvest out of innocent people. And the people they target, by the way, people of pure souls. I was mentioning, well, think about this. Some of us come from ancient bloodlines. Okay, the bloodlines that your sole purpose, your main purpose to be reincarnated into this planet is to help elevate the vibrations. So these low vibrational entities, they come from a bloodline that are, mostly satanic, mostly low vibrational. So their job is to keep finding all these pure soul, people of angelic bloodline, to eliminate them, to keep everything at the status quo of fear. So my father was targeted because his bloodline was what they needed. They wanted to get rid of him and at the same time benefit of his energy. It's like a sacrifice to offer to the demonic entity that they worship. And I know my family is not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who went through this. And yeah, that's why you pray. Okay, use the prayers by Miss Brent Atwater. Uh, I surround myself in seamless miracle cocoons, protect and shield me now, forever, and always. You can do the prayer for your family members as well. Alternatively, you can do prayers according to your religion that protects you and get rid of all the negative energy. And you can also do the thank you method prayer, which is just imagine yourself in a white bubble and just keep repeating thank you for releasing all negative energy in and around me and everyone and everything. You just keep chanting that over and over. They cannot come to you unless your vibration is low. And how they lower your vibration is through whatever means they can think of. They can't get to you directly, they get to your friends, to your family members, through people around you. They will turn the people against you, someone low vibrational, and then that cause you stress, cause you sadness, cause you depression, cause you anger. What happens when you have all this emotion? Your vibration lowers. So that's how they can get closer and closer and eventually becoming your friends. So get comfortable in saying no. Get comfortable in having strong boundaries and believe in your intuition. Okay. And for the families who have been affected, you know what's the pattern like. You know, you can resonate. Okay, your family start. You can. Here's the thing: you can always go back to the timeline where everything starts to go down. You can always go back to the timeline. The reason being is because that's when the major ritual was done to you or your family members that causes you to change, either immediately or in slow progression. For me, it goes back to the timeline when I was when I was 8, 9, and then 18. Because those were the major rituals that were done. They still continue with the ritual, but the major ones were there. It's like, constant bombarding, constant. Think of it like a wall, you know. You Initially they just use a small hammer to chip at it and things like that. And over time it comes with a bulldozer or whatever. Think of it like that. Slow and eventual, but eventually that one major incident, major time in your life where everything breaks, because that's when your protection barrier is totally broken. They have broken you down. And that's how they get to energy harvest off you. That's how they get to attach their energy cord onto you. And whatever you manifest will go to them. And anything bad will go to you, because it's like a change, like an exchange of energy. Everything bad, all the bad karma will go to you, and the good one will go to them, because they manifest off your energy. Because these people, these low vibrational people and families, they cannot achieve anything, whether it be success in education, success in studying, success in businesses. They cannot achieve anything without your energy. That's the reason why cord cutting is very important. That's the reason why it's important to call back your energy, to protect your energy and cleanse your energy. And these people will start to come back into your life when you cut the energy cord, or you're in the process of cutting the energy cord. Either physically they will call you or text you, or try to find a way to meet up with you, especially if you work with them. Okay, if you work with them, especially, they'll try to sabotage you from moving to another office that is nearer to your home, because they need you to be around until they can cement that their claws energetically into you. And once you further yourself, once you distance yourself, because that's advice I always give people, to leave. The best solution is to leave. Okay, but even after leaving, if you still do not do any cutting rituals, if you don't cleanse your energy or call back your energy or protect your energy, they are still able to leech off you. That's the reason why you still feel drained, you still feel exhausted, one bad thing after another, to the point you don't give up, and then you start doing low vibrational things. You start smoking, you start drinking, you start going to low vibrational places. And next thing you know, the other low vibrational people get to enter, because hey, we have easy access now. And how to tell if they still have the energetic cord latch onto you, even if you have even left the country, you're not totally physically far away from them. How to tell if the energetic cord is still there? if you feel, you can feel them. Okay, you still have thoughts of them, you still sometimes can dream of them, or you can even picture their face in your mind randomly. Like you cannot detach, you cannot get rid of the emotion, then whether it be good or bad, because that means there's still some kind of attachment. That's the reason why a lot of people will a lot of spiritualists, the genuine one, will advise you to practice detachment, because detaching is protecting you, and at the same time also protecting your family members. You have to detach the energy cord. I'll continue this in part two because it's already 40 minutes. Thank you.